Right, what am I talking about today? Well, talking about something that I wrote. I tend to write things and then get inspired to speak a bit more deeper about it. I do it for people that might be inspired or might feel motivated by the things that I'm saying. But a lot of the things I'm doing is for myself. Reminders for myself, things that come up in my head, and I think it's important to share feelings from one chronic illness sufferer to another. And I'm trained, if you've not listened to me before, I'm trained as a yoga teacher, nutritional therapist. So I've been in the therapy space. And I think the difference between me and probably a lot of people that we may see online is that I've battled with a lot of chronic illnesses and I'm still battling with some new ones. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I'm battling with some new ones as well, which at times is really kicking my ass, to be honest. And I think I have a different stance because, yes, there's so much health stuff out there and a lot of stuff that I agree with. But in reality, it's so difficult to do a lot of these things. And I'm saying that as somebody who has studied this stuff, somebody who has helped people with a lot of these kind of things over the years, um, but somebody that has really struggled and somebody that has found things in the past quite easy to do. And, and I think it depends on the illness that you have. But then somebody who is at the moment who is really struggling is really struggling. And I think the struggle comes as well. It's because I've done things. I mean, I've been able to manage two chronic illnesses, um, a thyroid autoimmune disease called Graves' disease and a hormonal metabolic disease called PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now I have a chronic pain syndrome. I'm laughing because I can't really say what this chronic pain syndrome is because I'm not formally diagnosed, but I've kind of been given clues as to what this chronic pain syndrome is. Let's say it's fibromyalgia. And then I've also been battling with disc issues and something called spinal stenosis. So these last diagnosis, which is like chronic pain, it's very difficult to like manage it at times. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here because I think I've written something else, and I will talk, I think, about the battles of chronic pain, because yeah, there's lots of things that I think is involved, and it's not as easy as kind of saying go and meditate it away, or go and exercise it away, or go and eat it away, because it's not that simple. And I think, I mean, I can only say for myself, but I think with my other chronic illnesses, it was a lot easier to meditate them away, or to eat them away, or to exercise them away. With these, or I don't know if it's one or two because I've not really been given a formal diagnosis, but I'm finding it quite difficult to do those things. So anyway, the whole point of this podcast, what I wanted to talk about, was something that I wrote about how we need to kind of ignore a lot of this health advice, because I don't think this health advice helps us. And I get the point where it's quite nice to go into or go on maybe social media groups and you have different people kind of talking about their symptoms, and there's a lot of togetherness there because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. But then I think some of the health advice that comes with it, especially, just eat these things and that will help, or try this anti-inflammatory diet and that will help, or meditate in the morning and then meditate in the evening and then that will help, or whatever these things are, I think can be very harmful. It is very harmful because we try these things, we try them, we keep trying them, and they don't work. They might not work because we're all so different with what we need. And sometimes we need a bit of unhealthiness, especially if you're having a really shit day, and sometimes I need some chocolate. That chocolate will make me feel better. And I don't think we should be deeming some of these things or some of these unhealthy foods as evil. I've spoken a lot about this before, but I think it's very unhealthy as well, because then there's the other things that start happening. It's the thoughts. It's the thoughts about, I've done this to myself. It's my fault that I have these autoimmune diseases. A lot of things about autoimmune disease I'm listening to, and I've known about these things as well, is the fact that being a woman, you can just feel guilty just for being a woman, because more women have autoimmune diseases. And then a lot of things about trauma, and it's not saying that yeah, we've, depending on what that trauma is, and I've been through trauma, and but then you can start to feel to blame for that, or you might be blaming circumstances for why you have these particular illnesses. And then I think then that blame starts happening. You blame yourself. You may blame your upbringing. You may blame your family, let's say, and it possibly wasn't their fault. It was just the circumstance that you were in, and it's nobody's fault. But then when you can be listening to some of these things, it can make you feel like that. Um, and so then you feel that you're to blame because you don't deal with stress very well. And that's just not, it's not your fault. But then because you're listening to all these things, it can make you feel like that. It can make you feel that you're to blame because you don't eat right, or you can make you feel that you're to blame because you're not exercising enough, or you've not done enough exercise in your life, or then you're made to feel to blame because you're not sleeping well. And some of us are really trying to sleep, but then our illnesses are kind of throwing that at us. And we're trying to get our 6 hours, 7 hours, or 8 hours. We try all of these things, but then you don't know what's going on with a particular person. Just kind of put that statement out there that, oh, you just need to get 8 hours sleep. It's your fault because you're not sleeping enough. That's why you've got all your symptoms. And it's like, well, I'm trying to sleep. And so when I wrote this thing out, I just said, leave us alone. Leave us alone. Stop blaming us, because it can come across that, okay, yes, this stuff is out there to help us, but then in some senses, for some people, or people who are quite sensitive at a particular point, I know I am at the moment, some of this advice is just like the wrong advice, totally. So switch it off. Switch it off. It might be that you're in particular Facebook groups, which I see it there, and some of these Facebook groups are fantastic, but then some Facebook groups, it might be time to just like switch it off. There was one group that I'm in, and I just kind of go in there every so often. I'm not really big into like the Facebook stuff anyway, but there was a woman that had put a post up in there and kind of said she's coming out of the group. She's coming out because she basically said that she'd done some positive stuff, and she was finding a lot of help and relief with some of the things that she's been doing. But then or people were coming on there and saying, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to exercise. You're not supposed to do this. And so she just thought, well, I'm coming off this because I'm doing something really positive. Yes, my way of dealing with this might not be the way that you are going to deal with this, but just because you wouldn't deal with it in this way, or you've read something that has said, especially for spinal stenosis, there's this conflicting kind of stuff where it's about, okay, make sure you're doing your physio, or make sure you're doing your exercises, but then there's other things that will say don't do the exercise, because if you're doing the wrong type of exercise, then it can irritate the discs. And so some people are in the exercise camp, some people are definitely not in the exercise camp. And so then there's all of this noise, and it's like, just leave us alone, leave me alone. I'm just saying, you're just saying I've done something really positive, it's helping me. But then she was getting all the backlash, and it's that kind of stuff. That's the bit that is really difficult. And so sometimes you just have to switch off the noise. Switch off the noise, and go with your gut, and try lots of different things. Don't feel that you have to be kind of restricted to doing everything textbook as the YouTube videos, or textbook as these groups, or whatever post you're reading. Try lots of little different things, and who knows, it might work for you. And if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. But I think it's important that we switch off some of this noise. And it might be the case with you listening to me, some of the things that I might say. If it's too much, switch me off. Switch me off. If I'm causing you to be in more pain, to have an increase in your symptoms, switch me off. It's not worth it. It's totally not worth it. So I think I would like to see people, or these health experts especially, to stop preaching, because a lot of people have studied this stuff, or I've been listening to a lot about pain, and about how pain is in our heads, and I've spoke a lot about this, and I do agree that pain is in our heads to a certain point, but I think it's very unhealthy to put that out there, and then to make people feel that their pain is in their heads when they are certainly feeling their pain. And what's caused that pain, who knows? I know that my issues have stemmed from my discs. I am certain of that. I know that my brain does amplify that pain, and it's been used at times to protect me when I don't need protecting. I understand that, but it can be put out there in a certain way that for some people this isn't healthy. You know, it's not healthy for them. It's not helping them. So so I think what I want to say for us chronic illness sufferers, let's switch off. We need to switch off from these people telling us what to do. Switch off from these people that are making us feel guilty at times for having our illness, because it's very dangerous. I feel it's so dangerous. So yeah, that's all I've got to say for today. So you have a wonderful day, and yeah, I'll be back on here very soon, rambling on about life with chronic illness. So yeah, anyway, you take care. Bye bye. Hello, Cheryl here. Right, so I have a newsletter called Cheryl Shares, and with my newsletter, I talk about the ups and downs of living with a chronic illness. And then my background also is that I'm trained as a nutritional therapist and a yoga teacher. So in the newsletter, I will also talk about the benefits of vitamins and minerals and foods and certain diets. I'll also talk about the ups and downs of having a chronic illness, because I'm diagnosed with 3 of them, and so I understand the ups and downs, the battles of living with a chronic illness, and the kind of the messages that we have to give ourselves to motivate us to keep going. You know, it can be quite easy to kind of like be sitting back and not doing things and letting this conditions kind of take over. So this is about motivating you to get moving and to be doing things, and to not let these things rule us. We don't want to be ruled by chronic illness. So if you are interested in my newsletter, if you go into the description area, click on the link and then come and join me. Okay, so you take care.